I think that fungus is the reason for weight gain. But when it starts to starve, it will proliferate and get pseudopods, my fingers, and start to search for sugars, wherever it can get nutrients from. And it will penetrate down in chemicals that will cause you as the host to go and consume carbohydrate. Carbohydrate releases insulin. Insulin is pro-inflammatory. Nothing drives the sugar like the fungus.
This is Salus Health Topics with Dr. Troy Giles. In today's episode, we're talking about obesity and weight gain, and just how big of an impact fungus can have on weight management.
Okay, so we've covered a few different things in some of our videos, antibiotics, but we haven't really dived down into fungus. And another item that we haven't really looked at in depth is weight loss or weight management. And as you were saying, those things are intimately tied together. So let's look at those items.
I think that fungus is the reason for weight gain, for weight out of control.
Okay.
Anybody who's obese, in my opinion, from what I've seen in 28 years of practice, has a fungal overgrowth. So let's just get into it for a minute. Where is fungus from? Yeast is normal in our gut. Everybody has yeast.
Okay.
Yeast is just all happy as long as the microbiome is intact. It feeds the yeast vitamin B. They produce vitamin B, and that's what the yeast live on, is vitamin B. And so everything's okay, except for when there's not enough, or when it's been killed by antibiotics from chicken, or a direct, chicken that's been in a cage, or taking an oral antibiotic. It wipes clear that good bacteria, and now the yeast start to starve. And because of that, they'll mutate. So yeast is like a ball, just hanging out, not a big deal. But when it starts to starve, it will proliferate and get pseudopods, my fingers, and start to search for sugars, wherever it can get nutrients from. And it will penetrate down into the fissures, if you will, the small areas of the colon, digestive tract, and look for nutrient. It wants nutrient, and it produces chemicals that will cause you as the host to go and consume carbohydrate.
So this is where some of the cravings are going to come from in your fungal overgrowth looking to feed itself.
Yep. Now you're eating carbs to feed the sugar, to feed the yeast, to feed the fungus. And now you've also got the cravings that are there, which then you start to feel bad because you're eating. Now you're gaining weight, so now you're binge eating. You're shutting the door and putting the curtains out, and then you're going to devour your ice cream. And it gives you a satisfaction. It's actually the same center, fulfillment center, as a sexual. But it's not like a sexual climax or anything, but it is the same sexual center, the pleasure center of your body.
It's a serotonin and
serotonin is released, absolutely.
So this fungus are actually now controlling our hormonal levels and responses to give us pleasure or cravings as it is. Yeah.
So and there's so many people sitting watching this video today who are saying that's me, and almost shrinking back in their chair saying, yeah, that's me. I binge eat, and I know that I feel pleasure, not sexual pleasure, but it's pleasure center,
yeah,
and that's me. So let's talk about, where does that fungus do? What does it do besides creating the
and this is like things like candida.
Candida.
Yeah.
So there's many types of different types of fungus that will start to grow, but they produce mycotoxin. And that mycotoxin creates brain fog. So now you're binge eating, creating mycotoxins. Now you're starting to get even more stuff in your head, just foggy head.
Right.
And they feel worse and worse and worse. And now they binge eat more and more.
Right.
So it's just a boom, 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 boom.
It's a total feedback loop.
Yep.
And then you can't think your way out of the box, and it becomes a habit. And now you're. Yeah.
And you just feel worse and worse, and now you have other systems starting to fail, other areas becoming inflamed because you're consuming so much carbohydrate. Carbohydrate releases insulin. Insulin is pro-inflammatory. Now you're inflamed in all your body. Now you have other multiple systems starting to fail.
Right. Which is why then we have, and obesity is a chronic thing, especially in North America. It's like 30% of the population based on their BMI.
I would say more. Not obesity or overweight. Obesity is a certain percentage.
Yeah.
Overweight, still inflamed, still causing other system failures.
Right.
So it's going to be bigger than even that. But the obesity, correct? That's
so here we have and why obesity is associated heavily with other subjects that we've covered: diabetes, chronic fatigue syndrome, asthmas, what have you. Like, I mean, a whole host of stuff on the obvious effects of heart disease and etc.
Yeah. So that's the whole concept of being, and so I find, there's fungus, or there's parasites and bacteria and so forth, but nothing drives the sugar like the fungus. So that's the one that we really want to get a hold of, because that sugar creates so much inflammation.
So now here we have a problem in addressing that, because we know antibiotics don't deal with fungus, so there's antifungals that can be prescribed for this sort of thing, and yet those antifungals, they don't necessarily sweep out the fungus there. You
Right.
showed me an example there before.
Yeah. So diflucan, fluconazole, these are different drugs that you can give that wipe out basically my palm, or the superficial fungus that's out where it's being attacked and worked in.
Yeah.
But the deeper levels of when the stuff that's penetrated down deep, so that my palm falls off, you start to feel better. There's no more yeast. I'm not having any vaginal infection. But the problem is, as soon as the diflucan is gone, this will just start to come right up, reflourish, grow.
It's like
and you've got the
cutting off the head of a dandelion, big deal.
Yeah.
It's coming straight back up.
Also, it produces biofilm. Fungus produces this, it's like a blanket of mucousy stuff that will cover over the villi, the fingers that absorb the nutrient. So our obese patient is suffering from malnutrition. They're starving to death.
And therefore getting a demand for a more nutrient load from their body and taking in more calories than they would otherwise need. Now, another thing, the bit of research that kind of came across on this was something like excess fat cells that are used as storage in the body. They're also giving particular cues that are manipulating the microbiome and metabolism going on there. So
it's just an amazingly difficult spiral downward. But there's an answer, though. You can start on Salus structured silver to remove the fungus out of the gut, to remove the fungus that can translocate and go into other areas of the body, to get rid of it. You can get rid of the mycotoxin that's making your head be so foggy. You can start and get rid of that, and get rid of it, the other infections out of the other areas of the body as well. You can help repair the microbiome. You can get it to where it's strong. You can work with coaches that will help you when you're addicted. You're addicted to sugar. I know it because I've been addicted to sugar. We all have been, really.
sure, we all are for the most part. Yeah.
So to be able to have a coach that can help you, so you can start to eat. When you start to have a sugar craving, then you're going to go to your refrigerator and pull out the vegetables that are already pre-cut, ready to be ready washed, that you can just put a little ranch party mix on, have some vegetables, have some raw almonds and cashews, just to give you the good nutrients, and it will satiate that sugar carb, that sugar need.
Well, sure, and especially if it's done in conjunction, like you said, with taking a structured silver, because then you're starting to also, over time, remove the fungus that's creating those cravings in the first place, and going after the root of the dandelion, so to speak.
This is not just about you being a fatty, because you're not. You're really not a fatty. See, the thing is, if you can help yourself to get over that self-loathe and realize that it's not just you overeating, the chemicals produced by the fungus are making you go eat the sugar, and your dopamine response to the sugar, because it's pleasurable, you want to do that again. Dopamine is released so that we'll do an activity again.
Right. Instead of being in the cycle of going, oh, I listened to my cravings and now I felt better for a bit and now I'm guilty again because, oh, I'm trying to lose weight and I just ate a tub of ice cream. You know, these emotional up and down cycles. And we talk about the causality of the gut factors affecting the mood and putting people into depression. So another one of those associative ailments with obesity is depression.
Depression and anxiety.
Huge difference.
I don't want to go out into society and have people see me.
Right.
You've seen the issue where they put somebody in a fat suit and walk them into a store, and because they're fat, they're not looked at, they're not talked to.
Right.
But that same fat person in the fat suit now gets her hair and she's blonde, thin, and they're just all over it.
Right.
So that it creates a ton of anxiety.
Oh, of course it would. Of course it would. And it perpetuates the whole idea of hiding out. And then we have kind of one of the touchstones that's in our culture right now is, you know, the acceptance of your body self the way it is. And it's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. I mean, we don't want to reject people for being, you know, different, and we want diversity in society, that kind of element. But don't we want to celebrate the best selves that we can be? And are we being at our best when we're having issues with weight, issues with cravings, issues with parasites and fungus? I mean, I've never seen a situation personally where removing bacteria, pathogens, viruses, and fungus has been detrimental to anyone.
Yeah, like always a positive. Clear that biome is always.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I want to tell you, seeing me right now, I'm looking at you, I can see you, and you can see me. I just want to tell you that there's an answer to your weight, and you're not a bad person. And I love you. So I just want to tell you that.
Yeah, and it's very important, because it all starts with the ability to recognize that you do have the value, and there is a method to do it. Because so many people have tried losing weight and failed over and over and over again because they don't understand the connection to fungal inflammation, and that these things are actually driving the biology. And there's lots of tests in mice that we've seen where you can take the microbiome from an overweight person, put it in mice, and those mice will start to get overweight because the demands and the way they even utilize the food sources will manifests itself in the addition of weight, whereas the mice with the correct microbiome eating the same food sources and the same caloric intake will not throw on a bunch of weight. So hey, you know, we've got to get this understanding to people so that they can make those adjustments for themselves and start to look after the root cause.
Yep.
Is there anything else you wanted to fill out here before we sign off?
No, I think we'll do more in other videos.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you again for your time.
You're welcome.
If you don't know what the problem is, then you won't be able to find a solution for it. So for all those people who are trying to lose some weight or just get into better waistline, whatever the case is, you really have to start to look at things like hormonal balance, microbiome functionality, on top of just your regular diet and what your food sensitivities might be. So thanks for watching, folks. This is a deep science. We're getting and drilling into these subject matters more and more as we move forward. Your questions and comments help us refine exactly what we're going to educate the people, the audience on. So by all means, keep making them, and we'll see you next time.